The next swim we come to is the point on the Old Lake. Now this swim at the moment has been very, very prolific. I mean, it's a lovely swim, this swim, as are most of them, but you do have a lot of very sexy looking margins to fish to, and it's one of those swims that seems to consistently produce good fish. I mean, numerous 30s and 40s, I mean almost too many to count even, but in the last 2 weeks alone this has done 650s, this swim. In fact, my lad who's fishing this swim had a 57.5 last night, so he's well pleased with that, personal best. So this swim is very, very popular, but let's not say it's the only good swim on the lake, because it's far from it. But what you've got in this swim, you've got lovely margins, all with lots of little caves, plenty of cover for the fish to hide underneath. But if you're going to be fishing these margins, it is important to remember little things like clipping up. Not so much for during the day when you can see where you're casting, but what happens at night. You've positioned your bait nice and tight during the daylight, get a bite in the dark, now you want to get a bait back in there. By being clipped up and accurately standing in the same place to cast, and lining up your tree line correctly, which you've done during the daylight, it then means you can now get your bait back in there reasonably tight, so there's always a chance of another bite. So clipping up, very important in this swim. But you'll see that there's obvious spots that you'd want to fish to, but don't just fish the obvious spots, put them in little corners to try and find out where the fish want to pick baits up. Out in front here, it's a pretty uninteresting bottom, but produces a lot of fish. Just straight out in front, 30-40 yards, the fish obviously move through and come in and out of the bay, which we're going to be walking round to in a minute, and they often stop off and feed in open water. So baiting a nice area in open water, just consistently trickling baiting, often brings good results. So another little swim. There's one bit that I haven't mentioned here. There's a beautiful big overhanging willow tree right in the margins here to the right. Hardly anyone fishes underneath it, yet I know if you were standing across the other side of the lake you would want to put a bait underneath it because it looks perfect. There have been some anglers who have caught some very good fish from doing exactly that, just dropping one in the corner there underneath the willow and keeping quiet. It's sort of like a little, what I call a little sneaky spot, but it does produce some big fish.